You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 156. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We are so happy to have you here with us today. So if you've been curious about sharing mindfulness in your classroom with your students, or you'd like to learn how to have more success with the practice than maybe you've had in the past, this episode is for you. So in this episode, we're sharing a mini training about the 3 phases of mindfulness in the classroom, and specifically how to use our free, ready-to-use mindfulness and social emotional learning program to meet your goals. But before we dive in, we're excited to share a word from this episode's sponsor.
Did you know that Canadian educators are highly sought after by top international schools worldwide? Teaching overseas is professionally rewarding and offers an amazing lifestyle rich with culture, social, and travel experiences. Search Associates is the world's largest recruiting agency representing over 800 top international schools in over 120 countries worldwide. Each year, they've helped over 3,000 teachers, counselors, librarians, and specialists secure great jobs in their carefully vetted K-12 international schools, where teachers like you can enjoy small class sizes, motivated students, and high academic standards in a supportive learning environment. Gary McPhee brings over 30 years of teaching and administrative experience in international schools to his role as a senior associate with Search. He started his teaching career in Toronto in 1982 and ventured on his first overseas post in 1988. His international teaching career has taken him and his family to Singapore, Taiwan, Tanzania, Qatar, Canada, and China, first as a teacher, then principal, and international recruiter. He now shares his passion for international teaching with other adventurous educators. If you're interested in learning more on how to become an international educator, join Search Associates' free Facebook group at Search Associates Canada and visit ca.searchassociates.com or email Gary at gmcphee@searchassociates.com. That's GMACPHIE@searchassociates.com. Check out this episode's show notes for the details. Register with Search Associates Canada and receive personalized advice and support throughout your international job search. Adventure awaits. Take the first step. Contact them today.
All right, so let's get started with this mini training. But first things first, just in case maybe you're new to the podcast and you don't know Josiane super well, I just like to share a little bit about our journey into practicing mindfulness in the classroom ourselves, and then why we ended up just developing our own program to kind of make this process easier. So Josiane and I have been in the field of education for over 10 years. We have a firsthand understanding, of course, of just the realities of the classroom and the challenges that both teachers and students face every day. More and more classrooms, schools are just facing a lot of stress and burnout. So we wanted to develop a program in response to the rise in anxiety, stress, and burnout in the classroom for both students and educators. So there's like the 2 sides of the coin of this problem that we were experiencing in our classrooms. Now, as we know, the pandemic has, of course, further intensified this kind of crisis and really the need for evidence-based solutions to these problems. So it all kind of started when Josiane and I were facing burnout as teachers. Earlier on in our career, like it happened pretty quickly that we were recognizing that the levels of stress we were experiencing just weren't sustainable. And we loved teaching, but we were noticing that if we didn't make a change for ourselves and in our classrooms, we might not be able to stick with this awesome career forever, because it was just burning us out. So we were also like tired of piecing together these social emotional learning lessons from a bunch of different sources that didn't fit together. It felt like we were wasting so much time trying to find solutions to the stress and anxiety that we were noticing in our students. And once we found these resources, we weren't necessarily seeing results with practicing them or using them with our students because they weren't sequential. They weren't building on each other. They weren't developing skills over time. Now, the next issue that we had was that we both taught in a French immersion setting. So we just couldn't find a bilingual program, like a program that was available in English and French. So we couldn't find the thing that we were looking for to solve our problems. So we just knew we needed a ready-to-use program that took not a lot of extra work at all for us. It was like ready to go the moment we walked into our classroom. And we needed this program to improve self-regulation, mental health, and academic achievement for everyone in the classroom. It had to support our students and it had to support us because everyone was experiencing kind of stress and overwhelm and things like that. So because we were frustrated with this lack of resources, we decided, let's just develop a program ourselves. At that point, we had been really diving deep into learning about mindfulness, practicing it, studying it, and experimenting in our classrooms. So we got to a point where we kind of had a pretty good handle on what was working, what wasn't. So we decided to launch EduCom in 2017. We tested it in our own classrooms, and then we piloted it for 2 years in K-12 classrooms across Canada and the United States. So after we gathered tons of data and feedback from all these teachers, we tweaked and improved the program and ensured that it was CASEL aligned. So then in 2019, a third-party evaluation was done on EduCom, and it demonstrated that this program improves self-regulation, focus, resilience, classroom management, and more. So it was really great to see that the things that we were hoping would be the outcomes were in fact the outcomes. So EduCom is evidence-based. So now fast forward to the present, teachers choose to use EduCom in their classrooms to improve both student and teacher well-being because EduCom doesn't require professional development, release time, lesson planning, or prep, which makes it a very affordable option. So you don't need to, take all this time to go do professional development and then try to figure out how to work it into what you're doing and create your lesson plans. It's done for you. It's designed so that K-12 teachers learn alongside their students by pressing play on the pre-recorded lessons. So you get to develop your practice alongside your students. You get to learn these skills with your students. You don't have to be the expert. You get to participate rather than facilitate, which is great. Teachers also love that it's completely bilingual and lessons are recorded in a Western Canadian French accent. So that's easier for French immersion students to understand. So if you aren't from Canada, that might not be important to you. Or if you are in Canada and you just teach in English, that might not be important to you. Educom is fully in English, so if you don't need access to the French, that's fine. But if you are like Josiane and I, who teach in a French or a French immersion setting, this is like gold because it's so hard to find resources like this. Educom is a trauma restorative year-long program that allows students and teachers to co-regulate with daily self-care practices and learn concrete skills for emotional wellness and mental health. So you're learning together and you're practicing together. So what Educom does is it creates a positive daily mental hygiene routine that gives teachers and students coping strategies and common vocabulary to return to calm and focus quickly. So actually less time ends up being wasted on classroom management, and there's more time dedicated to teaching the curriculum because both you as the teacher and your students are like learning these really important skills that help just the classroom to run more smoothly, which is kind of like a side benefit. It's created to help students to manage their emotions, and the side effect or side benefit is that it also helps them to improve their behaviors because they're learning how to manage their emotions. So instead of reactively addressing student and teacher stress and anxiety once they're already burned out, Educom is a proactive and a systematic approach for preventing overwhelm and burnout while preparing minds and bodies for effective teaching and learning every day of the school year. So we believe that self-care shouldn't be reserved for after school hours to like make up for the burnout you've experienced during the school day. We think that it should be integrated. It should be part of your daily routine. So Educom flips the script and makes well-being an integral part of your classroom routine for both your students and you. So that's kind of our journey of why we created the program, what it has become now. And so now I'm going to jump into this mini training where I'm going to talk about how you can use this program to meet your goals and what are the 3 phases that you kind of need to walk through to set yourself up for success when you're using our program or really any mindfulness program or mindfulness, even if you want to guide it yourself, these 3 phases are going to help set you up for success. So, quick overview again. What is Educom? Educom is a fully bilingual English and French co-regulation program created by teachers, Josiane and myself, that gives you and your students the tools, strategies, and common vocabulary to manage emotions and behaviors mindfully. And as I said, there's no prep required. So this mindfulness program will help you and your students to find calm during the busy, often hectic school day. You and your students will learn to manage your emotions mindfully, which will help you both to thrive in a calm and focused learning atmosphere. And isn't that the goal? So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment on purpose. So it's a skill that's developed through practice and repetition. Now, in school, we take the time every single day to explicitly teach our students to read, for example, using various methods and through lots of repetition and practice before we expect them to read independently. So we know that it takes practice to build this skill. Now, the same is necessary with mindfulness. So if we want our students to be able to manage their emotions and self-regulate independently, we have to teach them how to do so with this daily exercise, with a daily mindfulness practice. So Educom is intended to be a daily practice, and it provides everything you'll need to do the daily practice with no prep. So just as we don't expect our students to learn to read after only one lesson, we can't expect them to become masters in self-regulation right away. So that practice and repetition are the key ingredients. And with a daily practice, you'll notice that you spend less time and energy on classroom management, and that you have more time for the academics. So first things first, I'm just going to explain a little bit how the website is organized so that you can kind of get a sense of how the program works and what this would look like in your routine. Now, when you go to educom.com, you'll sign up for either a free or a paid membership to the program. Now, once you create your account, you have access to your own personal member area. So you just have to, the routine would be you just go to your computer, sign into the website, and then you have access to the Educom program, and you can change the language between English and French, depending on if you want to use one or the other or both of the languages. Now, once you are in that member area, the Educom content is organized by themes. Now, if you have the free trial, you have access to one of the themes. It's the Start Here theme, and you have access to that forever. So it never expires. You can keep using it for years to come. So if you feel that that is enough content for you, then that's great. If you've signed up for a full membership to Educom, then you have access to all the themes and all the units within those themes. So that means that you would have a lesson for every day of the school year. So you know that you can sign in and every single day you have a lesson ready to go. So with the free trial, you have access to that first theme, and you could just use the same audios over and over for, the whole year if you want. But if you want more variety and kind of a deeper understanding and going into different themes, then maybe the full membership would be the right choice for you. So the themes that are in the program include the Start Here theme. So that includes training videos and support materials for the teachers. So we do have a video that goes over some of the stuff that I'm going over in this episode. But if you prefer to have a video format to watch the training and also get a walkthrough of how to use the website. So where to find what you need so that you don't have to go through that learning curve. That is in that Start Here theme. And then the Start Here theme also includes the first unit that you'll use with your students, and that's Introduction to Mindfulness. So, when you sign up for the free trial, you have access to that for unlimited time for as long as you want. Now, if you have the full membership, you get access to all the themes. So then you also get mindfulness, emotions, 5 senses, gratitude, kindness and compassion, growth mindset, self-confidence, mindful movement, and also we always add from year to year. So every year we add in some new stuff so that there's kind of more variety, and Josiane and I always love creating more lessons and more great stuff. So we're always adding in there. Now that you kind of understand what's in the program, I'm going to walk you through the phases. So we'll break down these 3 phases into the planning phase. So this is what you're going to do before you even start practicing with your students. So it's that preparation planning phase. Then there's the practice phase. So that's what you're going to be doing with your students every day. And the reflection phase, which is also going to be something that you're doing with your students every day. So starting with the planning phase. So the whole point of this is to set you and your students up for success. This phase is all about planning and pre-teaching so that then the daily practice can go really smoothly. So the first step of this planning phase is going to be to consider if you'd like to share with your students' parents or guardians or not, that you'll be using Educom in your classroom or whatever mindfulness program you want to use in your classroom. So this is a completely optional step, and really it's up to you to decide if it'll be beneficial to your situation. So if this is something you'd like to do, we actually have a pre-written letter in that Start Here section of Educom that you can copy or use as an outline for how to talk about Educom and mindfulness with parents and guardians. So whether you have the free trial or the full version, you can get this pre-written letter. But the best and most simple way to describe Educom is just by saying that it's a program that helps get students' brains ready for learning. You can also direct parents to our website where we have lots of details about the program, and they'd probably have lots of their questions answered if they have more answers or if they have more questions. Now, this being said, a lot of teachers don't share all of the resources they use in their classroom with parents, and that's totally fine too. So this is really up to you just to decide, like, is it beneficial for me, for parents to know what we're doing in this classroom or not? And we provide the resources to support you in that decision if you want them. So that's the first part of the planning phase. The next part of the planning phase is going to be to set this up in your schedule. So you're going to want to add 5 to 10 minutes for EduComm to your daily schedule so that both you and your students see it as part of the daily routine. Now, in the beginning, this might seem like a big time investment. Do I really have 5 to 10 minutes to dedicate to mindfulness every day? But you'll see that with a daily EduComm practice, in the long term, you're actually going to gain time back for teaching and learning because of reduced classroom management challenges. So remember when I talked about how we piloted this program in lots of different classrooms? Almost 100% of the teachers said that when they used EduComm, they gained time back in their classroom. So I like to think of this slingshot analogy with EduComm, where you take a second to pull back the slingshot. We take 5 to 10 minutes to dedicate to the EduComm mindfulness program. We're pulling back the slingshot. And then once we let go, we can go so much farther and so much faster. So it's totally worth that time. And it's really important to schedule it in to your day so that you know exactly when to do it and you can make it that routine. Now, of course, as teachers, we know that when we have routines in the classroom, it takes time to create those routines at the beginning of the year or when we're first starting something new. But once the students know the routines, it just goes more smoothly. They know what to expect. They know what to do. We fall into the routine and less time is really actually spent on that thing. So a great time to do the practice is at the beginning of your time with your students. So for elementary school teachers that have their same students all day, first thing in the morning is a really good time. So before you start any teaching, it's part of the morning routine to do the EduComm practice. And when I say the EduComm practice, I mean pressing play on the audio guided mindfulness practices and listening together. So this EduComm practice helps everyone to start the morning in a calm and focused state and prepares students' brains for learning. Now, for middle school and high school and specialist teachers that see their students maybe for a period and they get a new group of students for the next period, the first 5 to 10 minutes of class time is a great time to do EduComm. So same idea, starting off with doing the practice just to get everyone calm, focused, and ready for learning. Now, if your schedule doesn't fit these suggestions, just choose whatever other option works for you that you can keep consistent. In the end, it isn't as important when you do it. It's more important that you do it and that you do it consistently so that it's part of that routine and that students are building their skills over time through repetition. So some teachers will do the practice right after lunch. Phys ed teachers might do the practice at the end of class instead of at the beginning to help students calm down and be ready to go back to their classrooms. Now, routine and repetition are your key to success here. Now, many teachers will do EduComm more than once per day because they find that they can get so much more done and classroom management is much easier when they start with an EduComm practice to calm students down and get their brains focused and ready to learn. So when EduComm is on your schedule, both you and your students know when to expect it. It'll become part of the routine. And then you can always throw in another practice here or there when you find that the students need support to return back to a calm state so that they're focused and ready for learning. So now that you've planned, are you going to tell parents about it? When are you going to do it during the day? The next part of the planning phase is to tell your students that you're doing this practice and explain why it's going to be beneficial to them. And it's really important to do this so that they understand the purpose, and so that you can set clear expectations for when you're listening to the guided audios so that they know how to have success. Now, we've made this really easy. We've created an introduction to mindfulness video for you that will explain what is mindfulness, why are we doing it, what's the point, how to sit, what the expectations are. So it really goes through all of this pre-teaching for you. So you can find that in the Start Here theme. Again, that's available to people that have the free version or the paid version in the Introduction to Mindfulness unit. So the explanation of why you're doing EduCom, if you want to explain it to your students yourself, if you don't want to use that video, can just be as simple as saying, we're going to be doing this practice to create a calm and focused learning atmosphere. Or this practice is going to help get your brain and body ready for learning. Or if you want, what I like to do is go a little deeper and tell like a story to your students about why you decided to do this practice in the classroom. So for myself, I really like to explain to my students kind of my journey with mindfulness and how it helps me to feel calm when I'm feeling big emotions like stress, frustration, or anger. And that I really want to share this practice with them so they have the opportunity to learn these strategies as well and learn how to manage big emotions in a healthy way. Now, remember that most students have never practiced mindfulness before, and they have no idea of what it should look like or what they need to do to have success. So before you start listening to the audios with them, it's really important to set clear expectations for what it should look like while they're listening to the audios, what it should sound like, and what it should feel like. So I like to keep it simple and say it should look like everyone is following along with what the audio is saying. It should sound quiet so that everyone can hear the audio, and it should feel calm and relaxed in the classroom. Now, again, this is all covered in that Introduction to Mindfulness video that you can just play for your students, and then you can always kind of discuss the video afterwards to really clarify those expectations. When expectations are clear, it makes it easier for our students to have success, and then we're happier, they're happier, it's better for everyone. So that is the preparation phase, the pre-teaching, getting the practice set up phase, talking to the parents, scheduling it into your day or your class time, and then having that pre-teaching sort of lesson with your students. Now, once that's ready, you've laid the foundation. Now we're ready to get into the second phase, which is actually doing the daily practice. So now that you've completed the planning and pre-teaching, you're ready to start your daily practice where you'll be listening to the audios with your students. So one thing to consider, you'll want to decide where and how your students will sit during the practice. Now, there's no right or wrong way to sit. Just choose what will help your students to have success, and you're going to know your students best. And you might have to adjust, and that's okay. So maybe you have them just sitting at their tables. Maybe they're sitting in a circle on the floor. Maybe you let them choose their own spots in the class. Totally up to you to figure out what would work best with your students. And how you can support them in having success in listening to and following along with the audios with minimal distractions. So make sure, just like everything you do in the classroom, you're differentiating expectations based on specific student needs. So some students may need supports to be able to listen to the 2 or 5 minute audios with success. Some groups are more chatty and might need support having more distance between themselves and their friends to make sure that they aren't too tempted to talk with their friends, etc. So up to you to figure that out. Now, remember that EduCom is a co-regulation program. So that means it's meant for both you and your students to have a moment of self-care every single day. So while you listen to the audios, you'll need to model the practice and follow along. So since this is new for your students, they'll be looking to you and mirroring how you practice. And this practice is important for you too. You deal with so many things on your plate during the day. This should be a time for you to feel more calm so that you're ready to be your awesome teacher self. And it's really important that students see that mindfulness supports everyone at all ages. So during the practice phase, you're pressing play, you're sitting with your students, and you're all listening and following along with the audio. Now, if you're using EduCalm as your mindfulness resource, as the program that you're following, you'll want to start with the Introduction to Mindfulness unit with your students. So you get that in the free or the paid version. It's in the Start Here theme. And this unit really sets the foundation for the program. So it really is a great place to start with your students so that they can really get those basics down pat before we move into other themes that are going to kind of teach them other ways and build on these base foundational things that they learned in the Introduction to Mindfulness unit. Now, so once you finish the Introduction to Mindfulness unit, if you have the paid version of the program, then there are lots of other themes to go into next, and you can decide which theme or unit you want to go into based on whatever interests you. So maybe you just want to use them in order. That's totally fine. Maybe you really want to use a certain unit while you're doing a certain unit in your regular curriculum because, the themes are similar or what they're learning lines up, or you have ideas of how you can take kind of an interdisciplinary approach with that. So it's very flexible for what order you implement or practice the units once you've done that Introduction to Mindfulness unit. So in the EduCalm program, each unit is meant to last about 4 to 5 weeks, and how you use the audios will depend on your student's age. So the EduCalm program is for kindergarten all the way to grade 12, and we'll just modify how we use the content a little bit based on the age group that you're teaching. So for kindergarten to grade 3 or 4, you'll see in each unit there are 5 audios. So you would listen to audio 1 for a whole week with the younger age groups. Then you would move on to audio 2 for a whole week, then audio 3 for a whole week, and so on. So one unit will last about 5 weeks. Again, that routine and repetition is so key. That repetition of the same audio is really important because they're going to notice something different every day. With middle school, you'll want to listen to audio 1 on Monday, then audio 2 on Tuesday, audio 3 on Wednesday, and so on. So you're listening to a different audio each day of the week, and then you're going to repeat that for 4 weeks. Now, if you teach high school and you're on a semester system, you won't have time to cover all the themes and units in the program. So you'll be able to focus on the ones that are most relevant to your students, their needs, their interests, and kind of what your goals are. And with them, you'll want to listen to audio 1 on Monday, audio 2 on Tuesday, and so on. So same idea as with middle school, but here you'll only repeat for about 2 weeks. So one unit will last about 2 weeks. Now, for all age groups, but especially the older age groups, it's really a good idea to offer student voice and choice in how you use the EduCalm content. So this is especially good for older grades. Like when I teach high school, I really like to start a unit, go through the whole unit, and then, by week 2 or maybe even week 3, on that unit, I'll ask my students, okay, which audio do you want to listen to? Or which video do you want to listen to? And we'll vote on it. Or I'll say, do you want to listen to an audio today? Or do you want to do a video today? And this just helps with engagement. So that's the practice phase. You get your students to sit in their spots in the way that you decided works for your group. You press play on the audio and you listen with them. Then once you're done the listening to the audio, the next phase is the reflection phase. So after listening to the audio, it's a great idea to connect and reflect to gain a deeper understanding and embodiment of what was learned. So give students the opportunity to think about and to share how the practice is supporting them and to reflect on which strategies they're learning that are helpful to them. This reflect and connect time helps to build a strong classroom community and gives you the chance to hear how your students are doing emotionally so that you can do your best to support them. So this reflection can be done as a sharing circle or round robin where each student gets to share what they experienced while listening to the audio, or it can be done as a discussion where only students that raise their hands share, or it can be done individually by using our student reflection booklets as a journal. So in the program, we have printables. We have in every unit printable student reflection booklets that you can give to them. And we have those discussion prompts to get that thinking reflection going. Now, we also have discussion prompts that you can use in the lesson plan. So that's another thing that's in every unit, a printable or a PDF lesson plan. Those lesson plans aren't something that you have to follow to teach. It's more just information on what is in each audio, what is the learning outcome of each audio, and ideas for how you can sort of deepen the learning if you'd like to. And there's discussion prompts in there for you. So we really encourage you to adapt the reflection phase based on you and your students' needs. Like, how can you connect this to the curriculum? How can this feel like it's part of your classroom routine and classroom building exercises in an authentic way that works for you? So use our ready-to-use resources in a way that fits you and your style. So in each unit of the EduCom program, you have audios. That is the core and the most important part of the program. That's what you're going to listen to during the practice phase every day with your students to help everyone come to a calm and focused state, yourself included. We also have a PDF lesson plan. So as I said, this just gives you information on what will be covered in the audios and gives you ideas for how you can use the printables. There's nothing you have to teach from the lesson plan. It's more a guideline so you know what to expect from the unit. There's always student booklets. So this is also optional. In the student booklets, there's a page for each audio that can be used to connect what students are learning to your regular teaching curriculum or as a way for students to reflect on what they learned in the audio. There's almost always posters. This is another optional supporting resource. So posters can be used in a lot of different ways. You can print them or put them up on your projector or smartboard as a visual while you listen to the audio. You can use it as a springboard for a discussion or vocabulary review for additional language learners. Lots of creative ways that you can use those. And then there's always additional activities. So something that you can use kind of to wrap up or to deepen what they've been learning in that unit. And it's different for each unit. So lots of different stuff for you to explore in the program. So just to repeat the 3 phases of mindfulness in the classroom, you're going to start with the planning or the pre-teaching phase. That's where you are setting the foundation, creating the routine so that you and your students know what the expectations are so that then the daily practice goes more smoothly. So once we've done that pre-teaching preparation phase, then the next phase is the practice phase. So that's where we are listening to these audios daily with our students and managing, the ups and downs that come with learning new things in the classroom. Some days might be easy and great. Some days might be a little more challenging and you have to review expectations or make some changes to help your students find success the next class. It's okay for things to not run perfectly every single day, just like anything else in the classroom. Nothing ever goes perfectly every single time, and that's okay. You are learning with your students, and perfection isn't the goal here. It's the process of learning and building skills over time. And then the last phase is the reflection phase. So a time for you and your students to reflect on what you learned in the audios, to kind of deepen your understanding. And that reflection phase really helps to solidify for yourself and your students the importance of doing this practice and how it's actually helping you in your life. And when you can understand how it's helping you in your life, it helps you to understand the importance of it and want to do it again the next day. So as I had mentioned, we do have a video that goes into more of a visual explanation of the things that I covered today that can definitely be useful for you if you want to start using EduCom as your program of choice in your classroom. Now you can get this video for free in the free trial. You also get it if you sign up for the full membership. It's in that Start Here theme that's available to everyone, no matter which plan you're on. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you, that you can kind of visualize how this can look in your classroom and what you can do to have success with a mindfulness practice in your classroom, whether you're using the EduCom program or another method. Now, to check out the EduCom program, go to educalm.com. So that's spelled EduCalme.com. And you'll be able to peruse the website, check out any more information that you might want about the program will be there for you to find. And you'll also be able to either sign up for the free trial or sign up for the paid membership. Either way, we hope that we can offer you some great, ready-to-use resources that will be supportive for you in whatever depth of this practice that you hope to do with your students. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. We truly appreciate you and are so excited about all the work that you're doing in your classroom and how that's translating to your community and the world. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone that you think would get value from it too. We look forward to connecting with you again in our next episode. Take care.